is the last week in June. And yes, we are still celebrating fathers. And today, our show is to send a message to fathers, to educate them, to empower them, especially. You know, there are certain things we have come to accept as part of us. Everyday routine. Oh, it was so years ago. That's how it's been. Oh, they'll be okay, especially when we leave children or raise children or we allow children to develop in a very toxic environment. We think they will grow out of it. We have people who will come and share their experiences. I'm from here, this part, but now here I am. But listen, the truth of the matter is that we are destroying the generation that we must protect. Today we are going to talk about human trafficking right here in Ghana, happening right here in Ghana. Our children being taken from their comfort zones and taken to dangerous places with the perception that they are going to get a better life. And sometimes outside the shores of Ghana. It's going to be very revealing. It's going to be very educative. It's going to be emotional. But above all, it's going to be empowering and open our eyes to the harm we are causing the younger ones, the new generation, and generations yet to come if we do not check this. Let me say thank you to Woodin for my cloth today. And of course, thank you to Bri Redra for my dress. My hair is by Glamorous Hair USA. They are at Tabora. Their numbers are on the screen. You can contact them. Makeup products always by Note Cosmetics and beautifully applied by Glow in the Dark. And for my shoe today by Awos Unisex Boutique. We take a break. When we come back, we'll meet a survivor. We'll meet two people who are working hard to ensure that our children are rescued from trafficking. We'll be back. Welcome back to The Standpoint. And yes, today we are talking about human trafficking and how to pick up the signs, how to see the signs, what you need to do, what you shouldn't do, and what parents need to know and understand. We'll have a survivor, we have a social worker, and we have an osofo who's been in the trenches. Apart from praying, he gets his hands dirty. Yeah. And I'm boy. Welcome back. Let me say thank you to all our supporters. That's Puma Drinks and Away Purified Mineral Water by Casapreco Company Limited, Juice Time, House of Food, Auntie Vera. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we also say thank you to Kodam's Gift and Stationery, Stunning Floral and Decor for our plants, both natural and artificial. Yep Cleaning Services. And Gogot Yogurt, you know, 100%. I mean, made in Ghana. I love it, love it, love it. My little girl takes it to school all the time. Let me go straight to my panel. And I have with me, seated right opposite me, is Mr. Emmanuel Esei Kanga, and social worker. Welcome to The Standpoint.
Thank you.
And next to him, I have Dogbe Godwin, who's a student and a survivor. Welcome to The Standpoint. And then we have Reverend Kingsley. What you see?
Yes.
Yeah, I got it. But another moment, the first one. Resident pastor, Calvary Baptist Church, Shiashi, the one day.
Yes, please.
Hey, your church is big.
Yes,
I'll come. I've been there before.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes. Akwaba, you're all welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Godwin, how are you?
I'm good.
So you're a student?
Yeah.
Where do you go to school?
St. Paul's.
St. Paul's?
Senior High School.
Where, Tema?
No, Denu. Vota region. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're an SHS?
Yeah.
Which year?
Second year.
Second year. Okay. So what's your story?
Oh,
How did you become a survivor?
Actually, I became a survivor back in 2015. I was in being fed with my auntie schooling. Actually, I was in Form 3, JHS 3 vacation. And another woman came claiming she's my auntie. So she's telling me, come and spend 1 week vacation with her so that you can also afford me with my needs.
But you hadn't seen her, but you didn't know her?
I did not know her.
Okay.
But the reason of giving me to her to go is she came with my father. So everybody, my auntie that I was staying with, they all know my father very well, so they think nothing bad will happen. So I also agreed and follow her. So we went to her hometown destination. So we were there, our vacation is getting, and I said, okay, now it is getting here, so let me go so that I can prepare for school. And she next told me that another man has her uncle at another place, that let me come and then spend another 3 days with him so that he can also buy a size book for me. So we set off the following day. Then we arrived at a certain place. Actually, where she told me we were going, that's not where we arrived at.
Okay.
So I asked her, why are we here? And she told me that if we were going over lake, but if she told me we are going over lake, I will not agree. So that's why she deceived me to.
How old were you?
But then I was 15.
15, okay. Okay.
So that was the reason why she said this and that. So we set off early in the morning, 7 o'clock, and we reached the Iceland 7 p.m. So we spent the hour on the lake. So we reached there 7 p.m. So she introduced me to the man that she told me earlier on that he is going to buy.
Uncle.
Yeah. So that night, okay, we finished discussion, then we all go to bed. The following morning, before I woke up, she is nowhere to be found. I asked everyone nearby, they all said that they don't know her whereabouts. So I have nothing to do, I have nothing to say. The following morning, the man that he introduced me to, the son, came and woke me up as early as 4 a.m. that we should go on fishing by force, compulsory by force. And I have no option, I have nothing to do, so I have to apply to what he says. So from there, I start fishing by force, and things that goes on very bad, bullying, things. In fact, if you say you will not do this, that's what they will ask you to do with a whole lot of. So we spent every morning at dawn 4 a.m. go on fishing, come back around 12, go back again, then come back 6 p.m. So all the days are on fishing on the lake. Sometimes we dive down the lake to remove the net if it tangle at the bottom of the lake, just to bring the rest of the net out.
But wait, did you know how to swim then?
No, actually, for the first time, I don't know how to swim. So my first time on the lake, it was not easy. I find it very difficult. Because that was the first time of seeing such a lake in my life. So I was afraid by then. That particular day, let me say for the whole month, but as gradually I've become used to it, so now I don't fear it.
So nobody took their time to even teach you how to swim?
Oh no.
They just told you to just go down?
Yeah, actually, what they used to do is they'll hold you, then throw you through the lake, and then they will drive and then go like a distance away from you and ask you yourself to swim, and then how you manage to get a boat. So you have to manage and then do that. So, and if like something rude, like bad, they say you want to sink, by all means you take in some water before they will pick you up from the distance. So we're there fishing for 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Every day?
Oh, every day.
Monday to Sunday?
Monday to Sunday.
Did you ask questions? Why are you here? Why did they bring you here? Did
Oh,
you ask such questions?
I ask a lot of questions and know more about that place. And then it's like what they told me was like at first for a month they are not willing to tell me what actually is going on there, but as times goes on I make friends and then they try to explain how things goes on, what actually is going on, and I get to know that that's what is happening. So now where I am now, I have no option than to apply to
Yeah.
their rules. So
Did you try running away a few times?
oh no, actually, and they've told me histories of that place that actually the man that I'm staying with, he has a whole lot of links, connections with some border police, then those police that checkpoints. So if you try to run away, you will just make a call, then you will be
Brought back.
brought back. And I asked, do anyone try that one before? They say, even they direct me to the person direct, and then when they asked him, he said, oh, it's true. Even that rescue, like they came and then picked him back again. He suffered a lot. Why did he try running away? He suffered a lot. So I should not try. Even if I try, I've just suffered in the air, and then I will suffer most. So I just kept, and then whatever I'm about to do there.
Osofo, listening to the story, you seem shocked. You seemed broken.
I am broken. Anytime I've heard many of them, but it doesn't feel normal. It does not feel this should happen in modern day Ghana, because I think every child deserves to be in school and be given the opportunity to life. If they grow up and they want to choose fishing, there are better ways to get them prepared. A kid being thrown into the water to survive until he's rescued, I think is callous, is wicked. It shouldn't happen to my son, to anybody's child listening to us. So I feel broken anytime I hear the story. I'm living in shock to know that such a story. And I heard his father was even part of the whole story because he came with a woman.
Yeah.
So they believed. So for me, that's where the challenge is for me, for fathers who kind of feel that their children should be exposed to such dangers for whatever gain. I think that's for me where my brokenness is.
Godwin, did you ever live with your father before you went to your auntie at
Yeah.
no. Where were you living with your auntie?
Being back
Okay.
yeah.
B.
Being back
B. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you live with your father
Yeah.
before?
Yeah. I lived with my father before.
Your father and your mother?
Yeah, but they are not together.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what was your relationship with your father like?
Actually, if I want to say, my father take care of me more than my mother. I stay with my father for my 2 years, like at the age of 2 years. So I stay with my father most. And let me say, what actually happened, my father is not aware. He is not aware of what the sister is going to do.
So that was your father's sister?
Yeah, or father, they are only two that they give birth to, and my father is the other one. Then,
So what did your father say when you were rescued and brought?
before I will be brought back to Bimpegbe again, my auntie told me that they traced my father, and then they asked him what is going on. Then, what the answer my father gave was he also go back to that my auntie that put me into the situation, that where my whereabouts, and then my auntie just ignored him and then said that it's not part of his business, so
Told your father as not
fight
part
for
of...
his business.
Let me take a break. When we come back, I'll go to Emmanuel because I have some few questions. You're watching The Standpoint and we are talking about human trafficking. I'm sure we've all heard about, young boys being used on the lake and, made to dive under. But Hearing it every time sends different chills. Sent different chills. Well, let me say thank you once again to Udine for my cloth, my dresses by Bri Dua, hair by Glamorous Hair USA, based at Tabora, and makeup products, Note Cosmetics, and beautifully applied by Glow in the Dark, and of course my shoes by Awu's Unisex Boutique. We'll be back. Okay, welcome back to the Standpoint. Well, there's nothing to laugh about. My director, for Emmanuel, as a social worker, how often do you come across such cases? Do people come looking for their children that they can't find?
There have been few instances where parents whose children have been trafficked are actually looking for their children. Not only parents, but family members generally are looking for their children. Those are cases where they are not aware that the children are actually being trafficked. There are other instances where the parents really are aware that the children are being trafficked, and some of them kind of act adamant about the terrible experience of the children. And I would say for some parents, this is because they have a lot of children. I know of a case where a family has about 6 children. The husband is less than 40.
Wow.
The wife is in the early 30s. They don't have any plan of doing family planning. None of the children is in school. And they gave one child out to be trafficked. They did not see what was actually wrong with the child being trafficked, simply because they believed that the child was going to work to help the family to survive. So really, there are cases where parents are aware, they really don't care about it. Yeah.
Reverend, that's the thing. When sometimes people ask, what is wrong with it when one of your children works to support? Maybe
Exactly.
the parents are, we are poor. We are struggling. We are doing our best. The children are many. So what is wrong if we get one of them to work and get some money to support? It won't kill him or her.
I think that there are laws in this country concerning about the age, appropriate age for the children to work. And if such parents really understand or are made to understand the role of raising children to the appropriate age where they can find their God-given potential to be able to serve God's purpose, whatever capacity they find themselves, it will do better. But if you deny the child as early as 6 years, 10 years, 15 years, really to understand what he or she is made up of and being forced into a situation where he's been exploited in the interest of the family, I think it's callous. It's not something God will approve. It's not something the state would want to also approve. And for that purpose, it's illegal, it's wrong, and we need to speak against it.
But Reverend, sometimes some of these people who do this, they are in our church.
That is where my issue is.
That when they come to church
they
all
come.
the time. Yeah.
And
sometimes they will leave their children at home and come to church and sing. And they will sing loudest and dance most.
I think that is something that I found passion about it, because I realized that almost everywhere, either people are in the mosque or in the church. There may be very few people who don't go. But so we have a responsibility as a people to be able to tell parents that children deserve to be home and to be raised appropriately and be given the right environment and resources so the child can really bring out the best out of him. There's so much trauma he's gone through. We might not have time to explore, but 3 years, day by day. Can you imagine even us? When you work for a while, you deserve a break. People go to work for 8 hours. By the laws of the land, you must have a break. Some of these children work more than 12 hours a day and they don't have any breaks.
Said what, 4 a.m.?
4 a.m. to sometimes 6 p.m. to 8.
If back 6 p.m., normally sometimes go back 8 p.m.
Look at that.
And then come back the next morning.
Look, so they fish all night.
Wow.
I mean, that is
it's a whole cycle.
Yes. And so that's a whole trauma. No child will be able to do well in such. In fact, even adults, with all our abilities, can work day by day without necessary breaks. And meanwhile, I don't even know the food they were being given. I don't know the kind of rest. I mean, the whole condition is not healthy for a child to be able to be fully developed.
Godwin, how many times a day were you eating?
Actually, twice.
Twice a day.
Twice.
Morning and evening.
Morning and evening. But that morning, we take it around 10 to 11 away. And then the evening after 6 p.m.
What kind of food were you eating?
Oh, the food we normally eat is banku for the whole year, and then rice on 25th December. That's all.
Godwin, what did you say? The whole year is banku.
It's banku. If
And the 25th, you eat rice.
Yeah, if we begin the year with banku, we'll finish it with banku. If we begin it with kokonte, we'll finish the year with the kokonte.
Wow.
I mean, no, it doesn't make sense. Is it deliberate that this year it's kokunte or this year it's banku?
Yeah. Or sometimes they'll cook banku for 3 months and then mix it with kokonte once and then continue again. Or
So it was banku and what?
banku with sometimes pepper, sometimes they are soup,
And the kokunte too the same.
the same.
The 25th rice. Did they give you chicken?
Oh, no.
By rice and what?
Rice and then stew. But we are producing the fish, so
They give you fish. So it's the fish throughout the year.
oh yeah.
Wow. You know, Emmanuel, back to what I asked Reverend, yes, when I was little, I sold on them, we went out to hawk and all that. So there's this question of, it's normal, Ghana, as Ghanaians, that's what we do. Children help their parents. What's the difference between, helping your parents to sell or to contribute from trafficking and child labor?
So I'll speak from the Children's Act, which has everything that has to do with the protection of the child. The Children's Act states that the age for a child to be able to involve in light work, like helping with household chores, maybe your parents have a shop at home, you help after school some few hours, is 13 years. And then by age 15, a child can get some employment. But that employment is work that should not affect the child's school, work that should not affect the child's health or the child's general well-being. So even if the child is 15 years and they are engaged in work during school hours, it is illegal. And I believe that the reason the law puts that age at 15 is because ideally, if you go through the educational system, by age 15, you would have completed the junior high school.
Okay.
So it is expected that you would have gained some knowledge, basic experience about basic arithmetic, how to cater for yourself, how to spot danger and be wary and all of that. So by that age, it's expected that you are developed to some extent where you can take good care of yourself. So if we engage children in work outside of these times, then it is illegal. It further states that we cannot engage children in work between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. because it's late in the night. Around that time, the child ideally should be sleeping, or if they are old enough, studying a little before they go to bed, and then wake up around 6 or earlier to prepare and go to school. So we actually have the law that is there to protect the interests of the children. The fact that children are not supposed to engage in work during any of these hours or while they are in school doesn't mean children do not have to help out in the home. If a child closes from school and is helping, say the mother sells some groceries and is helping the mother to sell, there is nothing wrong with it, as long as it is within few hours and it has no impact on the health, well-being, and the education of the child. Fishing is a hazardous form of work. and children are not supposed to be engaged in any hazardous form of work. It is likened to a child engaged in galamsey work, or a child working in a factory where there is a use of strong chemicals or heavy machinery. It's not in their place to work in such places. If we want the child to learn, we should wait till the child is old enough to learn. If we want them to help, if we are done fishing and we come back to the shore, and the children are helping with basic work at the shore, there is nothing wrong with it, as long as it is not against the well-being, health, and education of the child.
Is it only in the fishing industry that children are trafficked into and made to work under such hazardous condition?
No. So children are also trafficked to engage in domestic servitude. So houseboy, housegirlism, and such children they are also denied the right to education. They face a lot of abuse. They are insulted. They are consistently made to feel like they do not matter.
Yeah.
And
They are
one
less of a
thing
human being.
I have realized with their abusers is it is a conscious effort to break the child. So to get the child to do what you need them to do, you break them, make them feel like they are not important, they don't matter. Their voices do not count. They don't have a say in anything. You decide what they get. So it is a conscious effort by perpetrators to consistently break the children to the point where they come to accept the abusive situation they find themselves in. And it is easier for the abusers to manipulate them.
Let me take another break and let me say thank you to Puma Drinks and Away Purified Mineral Water from Casapreco Company Limited, Juice Time, Mrs. Oforipoko and the family, Floral, Stunning Floral and Decor. Thank you to Yep Cleaning Services, Kodam Gifts and Stationery, Juice Time, Go Got You Got, and everyone that support us. Grateful to Udin for my fabric, and of course my dress is made for me by Bri Radra. I will be back. Welcome back to The Standpoint, and I want to go to Godwin. So you said you were there for 3 years.
Yeah.
How were you rescued?
Oh, actually, if you are there, you are not supposed to use mobile phone to make calls or nothing such way. But because of how my behavior towards the elder ones, one of the man's sons sent me with his mobile phone to buy him a time. And then I got that opportunity to call my auntie that I was staying with at Binfegbe and narrated everything to her that that's what is happening and the location where I am. So a week after, we got another phone again, then called my auntie again. She told me that they've reported the issue to the government, the police, so they are working on it. So where can they get me? So I gave the location, every place, like everything, how they will get me. And fortunately for me, that very day, the police will arrive. We will not go on fishing that day. It's not that we will not go, but we are working on the net to. So we are even on the last one to set off, and then they arrive. So if they were to run late a little bit,
You'd have been on the...
yeah. So they came all along. I've given my identity, everything. So they just came and they called my name. Then they took me out of there. The police move on again. Then we go and rescue another people in addition.
How many people?
Actually, we are about 24.
Born leader, a natural leader. They rescued you But you said that's not good enough. The others also had to be rescued. So they went back. Godwin, what was the feeling when you finally got out with the others?
Actually, what tells me like they should rescue the rest is those that are suffering more than I am doing. They are just less than 10 years, and in fact, so that's what pushed me.
So they rescued all of them?
Yeah.
Including your younger brother?
Yeah. And actually, when we go there to rescue them, they are nowhere to be found. So we have to run through bushes. They've hidden them. So we have to run through bushes, rooms to bring them out. And finally, we get them.
So you can imagine if they hadn't found them, Reverend.
Yeah, this is hard. You know, I have a 11-year-old, and sometimes I think if she's exposed to these things, I don't know how I will feel it in.
Yeah.
And I think others are blessed with children, and they almost lose the purpose of why we have children. And when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel that perhaps we need to start talking more about how to care for children. You have a beautiful child. And when I hear like children under 10 years being beaten, it breaks my heart. This thing is quite personal. It's not just, I don't know if their parent listening to us. Imagine having little kids being exposed to these things.
So what can we do apart from you pastors using the pulpit to preach against this? Reverend, what can be done? What do you think needs to be done?
I think we haven't spoken enough. And I was talking to Christian. I think many of us are not even aware this is happening in Ghana. And I think we need to talk more about it. Thanks for the platform. We almost need to use every platform so that there's a modern day slavery and children are being trafficked. Children are being brutalized. Like you said, they are hard perpetrators who kill kids and pull them into the world and nobody cares about it.
Yeah, because some of
You
them
know,
go
and that
under the
should break
water
everybody's
and
heart.
don't come back.
Yes. And I think that for us as a nation, everybody must be concerned. Even if it's not your child, it can happen to a next door neighbor. And we think the children deserves better. And for that reason, we need to talk more about it, create more awareness, and even support vulnerable families. It is not just good enough to be in a big city church in Accra like my place and said, you don't care about this. You have to. And I step out a bit in Shiashi and got to know there were people living in a lot of containers and places. And we started responding. And through other ministries, we're able to support about 200 children, which we have put into a system for the next 15 years to make sure every child will be able to finish school. I mean, these are things churches can do. If you can't do it by yourself, you collaborate with other agencies. Somehow, you must be relevant to the community. I always say, if your church closes and the community cannot feel that your church is closed, only your church members know that you have closed, that church is already dead.
Yeah.
You are irrelevant to that community.
You know, I do not doubt, I have my issues with the church, but I do not doubt what Reverend is saying because, you know, I have a foundation, Girl in Need Foundation.
Yes.
Where we raise money, we collect 1 Ghana cedi or more to help children, vulnerable children, go back to school. Calvary Baptist Church, Reverend Digby,
Yes,
is the
Reverend Digby.
only one who gave me a platform to use as a church to raise money. I mean, at the Circle branch.
Yes, Adabraka. Sorry.
And when he was preaching and collecting offering, he kept reminding them that Gifty Auntie, I wasn't married then, Gifty Auntie is here, coming to raise funds for the soul. Keep some of your money. I mean, I will never forget that. And so I'm not surprised about what you are doing and what you intend to do. And I applaud you, honestly. Emmanuel, so how can we help? The ordinary Ghanaian watching me. Because during the break, we were talking about that sometimes, even those of us who have house helps in our homes, we may not even know that this child that has been brought to me was trafficked. The child, either they get them from an agency or through a supposed auntie or uncle or somebody. Or sometimes they'll say mother and father, but maybe that child has been trafficked. How do you know? How can you tell? How can you help?
So for a trafficked child, there are some signs that show that this child perhaps has been trafficked. These are quite common to signs of other children who are experiencing some form of abuse. So trafficked children, because the perpetrators have conscientized them to be afraid of strangers, they are afraid to talk to people. When you see them and you want to engage them, you get a sense that they are looking over their shoulder to see who is watching or who is approaching. So when you see a child who is behaving that way, it should prompt you that perhaps this is a victim of child trafficking. In other instances, the victims of trafficking are poorly dressed. So if you go to a home, you see a child there, there are other children, but this particular child looks malnourished, poorly dressed compared to the other children. It should prompt that perhaps this is a victim of trafficking. One thing that perpetrators nowadays do is that they actually change the surnames of the children to their
Whoa.
surnames. So the thing about trafficking is, you know, it is illegal. The Human Trafficking Act makes it illegal.
Legal, yeah.
So if you are caught culpable and found guilty, you get not less than 5 years imprisonment and a maximum of 25 years. So when we see some of these signs, poorly dressed, looking malnourished, they are always afraid. You see a sense of anxiety when you are trying to engage them. You ask them questions, the responses they give you seem rehearsed. In the cases of those whose surnames have been changed, it is done so that when they come into contact with the law, they are assumed as their own children. Because when a child is a victim of labor, the consequences are not as harsh as trafficking. Perpetrators know that. The fact that the child was moved from one place to another and was exploited. Those two key things need to be established so that we know that really this child has been trafficked. They are broken just so the masters are able to have their way with them. So once they are rescued, it takes a lot of work. In fact, it took a lot of work to get Godwin even to the current state. It requires a lot of psychosocial support, counseling, a lot of talking to these survivors to let them rebuild their sense of confidence, rebuild their sense of self-worth. We need to recognize the experience they have had and work with them through the process to healing.
And not stigmatize them
No
as well.
stigmatization. The
Yeah.
fact that he's sitting here, he's in senior high school now, second year.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that our leaders are also watching to learn from Godwin's experience to make the right decisions for children in our country.
Okay. Thank you so much. Godwin, what did you see under the sea? You know, that's when a sailor went to seas, and all that he could see was the deep down of the blue sea. What do you see down there?
Actually, sometimes if you go dive down to remove the net from the basin, sometimes it's very dangerous. This some people don't use net as fishing; they use hook. So going down there, that hook can easily hook you. Then, if you don't know, you can never ever come up again. And sometimes too, you get shocked by the electric fish. Oh.
That one is common, eh?
Oh, it's common. It's
All
common.
the time.
It's common. Even sometimes you bring, let's say it's in the net and then bring it inside the boat. You get a shock. And diving down, if you don't know, you have a whole lot of pain in your head, and it's not easy.
What have you got to say to parents?
Actually, what I have for parents is that it's not good to put a child beyond age into such situations and denying them from their rights and freedoms, especially education.
Reverend, your final words.
Thank you for the platform. I must say, Standpoint is viewed by many across the world. So we're very grateful to be here. I just want to speak to church leaders. I want to speak to pastors. I want to speak to people who lead groups. That we must not just preach the word, we must go down to be with people. Every church has vulnerable children and family, and you must care for them. I think that if churches become a little mindful and their welfare fund and other resources to help the community engage children more, some of this thing will come to an end of a modern day slavery. Like we said, there are child labor happening right under our eyes in homes of people who come to our parishes and churches. And we must be mindful. Sometimes you can see a case in mind because two adults are not agreeing to something. And this child used to come to our church, so it was a Sunday school teacher who identified that the child is being sick and nobody really cared. We followed up quickly to the hospital. I mean, and I still have the pain because by the time we got that, we should have come earlier. But we got to know on Sunday, apparently the child was harmed or hurt the previous week. And none of the parents were aware. It was a Sunday school teacher who identified for us to help. But we lost that child. And from that time, I made a resolution that, look, I need to be caring more about children, wherever they are. And I feel that if leaders, sometimes see, the funny thing is that many of us pastors think of the adult who bring the big money.
Yeah.
And so sometimes children program is almost look like it's childish, and we don't have to invest in. We don't have to support the leaders. I think I want to speak to leaders that if we start to care for these children, they will grow up in the church or grow up and become more responsible adults and contribute their best to community. And my last may be with parent. Don't outsource your parenthood. I mean, as whatever it takes.
I like that.
Don't outsource it to the school. Don't outsource it to the church. Don't outsource it to the community. Every child you receive, Bible says, is a gift from God. God gave you a gift. Even if you don't have the resource, you can trust him. God always come along in different ways to support difficult families.
The God of the 11th hour.
Thank you.
He will show up.
He will show up.
Somehow.
And it may be difficult, it may be struggling, but your children are still better with you than being anywhere else. And it's your duty to raise them. One day, God may let them be a blessing to you in your old age.
I say amen and amen. Godwin is nodding.
Amen.
Amen and amen. Amen. Mr. Social Worker, what's the clarion call to all Ghanaians and Ghanaians everywhere watching us?
Reverend focused on the church and the community. I would want to focus on the government. We have a lot of good laws that protect children. We have the Human Trafficking Act that protects children from trafficking. We have the Children's Act that protects children from child labor abuse. Our problem as a country has to do with actual implementation, enforcement of these laws. I think we need to seize the moment now to enforce our laws, because if these laws are enforced, our children are protected. We as a people should also support leadership in ensuring that the interests of children are protected.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Godwin, for coming to share. Reverend, thank you. I'm sure we'll do a program together very soon.
Sure.
You know, your passion and heart is amazing. Definitely a heart of God. And thank you, audience, for coming. We appreciate you. Before I take a break and bring you a bit of me, I want us all to see this. Wherever you are watching me, please join me to say this. And it must be a hashtag. Let's end human trafficking now. Not tomorrow, not in 5 years, no target dates. Now. So 1, 2, let's go.
Let's end human trafficking now.
Did you get it at home? If you didn't get it, let's go again.
Let's end human trafficking now.
And finally, get your children involved and let's say this.
Let's end human trafficking now.
I'll be back with a bit of me. You know, sometimes I wonder what happened to us. How did we lose our humanity? What makes us humane? You know, there's sometimes people blame our traditions and cultures. But I tell you, as a woman of tradition and culture, no. We have just become a wicked and selfish people. Listen, have you ever heard the phrase, it takes a community to raise a child? Those days when a whole community will come together, mothers will sell their clothes. Fathers will go to the farm and get, the animals and kill them and, sell so they can take just one child to school. So that that child can become somebody and come back to help. We have become selfish. We do not care. We live in a country where we do not even know what happens to our neighbor next door. We have now become a people who get excited when people are in pain. We take up our phone and film them. We go to the beaches, we go for resorts and we go for vacations and we see these children hanging out and we film them and we put them on social media. We do not reach out to help them. Children are a gift from God. God will ask us questions one day. I believe that being given a child is the greatest gift, and I say this as a mother. Of all the challenges and difficulties, is the greatest gift that God gives us. And when they say children are a gift from God, not just to the parents that brought this child, but to the community, to the country. Ghana, modern day Ghana, 21st century, human trafficking. My dear, you see, our children are not just trafficked and taken to go and do fishing. They are trafficked to do prostitution. Some are engaged in robbery. Some are made to do unthinkable things. We are losing our young ones. You know, the cost of not caring, it will come back to bite us. We will have a generation of bitter people, angry people, young people whose society has neglected, abandoned, and treated wickedly, and they will come back and haunt us. So you need to care. I need to care. We need to open our eyes and save our young ones. It's not just about us. Yes, you do not have it. Ghana is how we need to think about ourselves. Yes, but whilst you're thinking about yourself, think about that squatter near you. That child that has been brought to you, do you even know where he or she is coming from? Have you spoken to their parent? Have you even bothered to go and see where they come from? The way we live these days needs a lot to be desired. And it's a shame. This is not us. We are not that kind of people. God did not create us like this. We need to change it. We need to be aware of the dangers that our children are being exposed to. From what I do, the stories I hear, very traumatic. For me personally, I'm paranoid. I'm so careful. So careful. And I ask questions. Please, you need to care. You need to look out. You need to watch out. You need to reach out and help people. Don't wait till it's Christmas. Don't wait till it's Easter. It's an everyday thing. Children around us are suffering, and we need to rise up and help. Human trafficking is real, and it's happening in Ghana. It's happening in our community. It's happening in our churches, in our mosque, in the various communities. So I'm calling on governments to rise up and do the right thing. I'm calling on pastor, religious leaders to rise up. I'm calling on traditional leaders to rise up. I'm calling on corporate bodies to rise up. Those who run tourist centers, the hotels and what have you, be vigilant. I'm calling on security services to open their eyes when you're on the watch out, not just for the criminals. Some of the things we hear these days, unbelievable. Please, please, join us to ensure that we end human trafficking now. I'm a woman with super crazy faith in God. I know God is faithful. I know God is watching out for all of us, but I also know that God has given us wisdom. Let's use that wisdom to save lives. Thanks for watching. See you same time next week. Until then, please, let's help end human trafficking now. God bless you.